Tonight, I'm going to be making loaded fried mashed potatoes. It calls for leftover mashed potatoes, which I have. We had big ham on Saturday, and I made mashed potatoes, and even with my granddaughters here, I still made too much, so wasn't sure what to do with them, and I thought, well, since we already have ham and bean soup for dinner tonight, left over from yesterday, I figured I'd make us some fried mashed potatoes, potato pancakes. I know hubby likes them. So, calls for about 2.5, 3 cups of leftover mashed potatoes. About 1 beaten egg. Also depends on how much potatoes you're going to use. About a half a teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to use my pink Himalayan salt, and you don't need as much, or I don't feel you do, as regular salt. Get that mixed in here. To this I will add about a half a teaspoon or so of, or maybe a teaspoon of chives. I don't have any more homegrown dehydrated chives, so I opened up a jar of store-bought. They'll do in a pinch. I will make a note to make sure I dehydrate more chives this summer when my herb garden gets going, and I can tell already that I want some more chives in this. So add another pinch or so. Stir these in. Then for about 2.5 cups of mashed potatoes, the recipe I've always used calls for about 1/2 cup of sharp cheddar cheese. I had a half a block of cheddar cheese, so I bet you this is more like 3/4 of a cup, which is fine. I mean, you can never have enough cheese in something, right? So I'll put this in here. My oil is heating up nicely. I can feel that going. Get this mixed up. And make us some fried potato pancakes. This is a real easy side dish. This can even be made for breakfast. Would be awesome with some biscuit and some eggs, bacon, sausage, ham. May do some of that tomorrow morning. So I think that may be a little bit too much. So about that big, maybe not as big, about $1/2 size ball. Put that into the oil. Yeah, it's sizzling real nice. You don't want to crowd them in here. You want to give them room to spread out, and that way you can turn them. This is a big one, so I'll be able to get at least four in here. I'll put one in the middle. What the heck? So it is freezing cold here in north central Ohio. I think this morning around 8 o'clock we had 10, if that. I think maybe it was 8. We had to drive up to Cuyahoga Falls, and it was colder yet up that way. So it's been somewhat of a lazy day. Supposed to get freezing rain, also known as sleet, here in Ohio tonight, so I'm not sure what the roads are going to be like in the morning. So those of you that are local that may view this, be careful if you have to get out and drive. We do not have to go out and drive anywhere if we do not want to. being retired, we get that luxury. We put our fur babies outside in the morning so they can go potty and do their business and run around and get some of that pent-up hyperness out of their system, but they sleep all night long. We have their kennels in the garage, and it's a heated garage, so they didn't want to get up this morning because we had to leave the house early, and apparently hubby said Sam, who is the oldest Great Pyr, he just sort of looked at him like, I'm not ready to get up. And Papa had to just step over him and let the other dogs out, and Sam eventually followed along. So these are going to fry for about 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to push them down just a little bit so they have more even frying time. They're not so high in the middle. So yesterday with the leftover ham, I cut off most of the ham from the bone, and then I put the bone in this big stock pot here that I have, and one chopped up onion, and some Great Northern beans that I soaked overnight, and my water, and that cooked on the stove on low all day long. And I didn't feel good last night, so I didn't have any, but hubby had 3 bowls. Apparently it was good. He used the bread, the artesian bread that we had left over that I had made on Friday, and he said that worked out real well. The bottom of that crust was on the thick side, rather hard to chew, but when you dunk it in your soup, it works out real well. So go ahead and, oh yeah, these are nice and brown. I'm surprised that they're sticking. That one didn't stay together. I don't think so. This first batch doesn't seem like it's going to be one of my best. So we have 7 fur babies. We have 5 dogs and 2 cats. Cats are outside cats. The one cat that I got as probably a 6-week-old kitten, if he was that old, started as an indoor cat. But when he decided to start using my carpet and the wood floor instead of the litter box, he became an outside cat. And we then inherited 2 years ago an outside cat that my daughter had when they moved from Ohio here down to Florida. And Miss Ellie was inside for a while, and she also decided to follow what Sugar was doing, and she started going on the floor also. And she is also now an outside cat. They are not neglected out there. We have a small dog house that is too small for our dogs, so we put that by the back door, and there is a nice fur cat bed in there, and that's where Miss Ellie climbs into and snuggles up and sleeps. So she's nice and cozy in there, and Sugar either sleeps in there or goes into one of the garages and curls up somewhere in there. And they have a heated water dish out there, so they do have fresh water, and they get fed cat food every day, plus whatever moles and mice and birds they may find around the yard and in the neighborhood. Then we also have a 13-year-old of black lab chow, which I purchased at a flea market about almost 13 years ago. So she's the queen of the pack, and she lets everybody know it. And then Sam, who is the next oldest, he is a Great Pyrenees. He is 7. We rescued him almost 2 years ago from down the street. Family, the couple was getting divorced. She didn't want the Great Pyrenees. He didn't have time to take care of it because he worked out of town most of the time. I just happened to see a post on Facebook in a local group, and I knew where this house was. I've never seen the dog, but I had talked to the woman when she'd walked through the neighborhood, so I made arrangements and we got him, which has become a godsend for him. He has had a chronic ear infection since he was a pup, which was not taken care of, but he's doing real good. And then we have 2 sister Great Pyrenees, purebreds. We got them when they were about 7 weeks old. Were 3 years old this past November. That was my Hanukkah and my Christmas present 3 years ago. Hubby took me on a ride January 1st of that year and didn't know where we were going, and then I couldn't make up my mind which one I wanted. And he had the mother and the son off to the side in the kitchen, and he made some sort of deal with them, and we ended up taking both home. So for them it's been a godsend because it's almost like having twins. They had each other to play with. And then last October I found on the internet also a lady that her Great Pyrenees had mated with her St. Bernard. Great Pyrenees being the father, the St. Bernard being the mother, and both of those dogs are huge and beautiful. So I decided I wanted one. I've always wanted, ever since I was a little girl, a St. Bernard. My father already said, when you have your own house, you can have one. Okay, fine. Didn't know I'd be over 60 to get one, but... So Smudge was a year old in September, and he is the biggest, and he still has not grown into his paws. So I don't know if he's going to grow any more, but he is the lover of the group. So that's our family of fur babies. Okay. These look not very happy with the way these fried up. These may need another egg. So I'll go over here. Snatch me up another egg. Get that incorporated. And hopefully the second bunch will work out a lot better. Now, if you do find that your batter, your potatoes and egg ratio, if it ends up being too watery and you don't have enough potatoes to add to it, you can always add flour, and that will be your thickening agent, and that should work just fine. So I'm going to take these out of the oil. And hopefully my next batter will at least give me something decent. Although these smell wonderful, they just don't look all that great. still edible nonetheless. Okay. I'll get some more into the pan. Like I said, hopefully these will fry up a lot better. We do have sour cream on the table. Hubby does like sour cream with his. When I made potato latkes for Hanukkah, those I eat with applesauce, but hubby and the rest of the family likes not only applesauce, but they also like to put sour cream on top, which is the norm. I'm just not a big sour cream lover. Even on my baked potato, I'd rather have cheese and butter and chives instead of sour cream. So I'm going to take a bite of this. Actually, those are quite nice. So we'll fry these up and see how they work. The potato pancakes are done. What I did find out, I think what my problem was with the first batch was I did not let the oil get hot enough, because they ended up with the second and third batch. They are fried to a nice golden brown. I did sneak some tastes and they are yummy. So I don't think I'm going to get any complaints. I don't think there will be any leftovers, but there might, because there's quite a few here for 2 people. As you notice, I did also end up using a metal spatula to get them out instead of the Teflon, since this is a metal pan. And that could have been some of my issue also. But we'll keep that between us. So with that, we are also going to have some ham and bean soup. So I'll get some of that out for hubby. It smells wonderful. I think that's enough to start with. Make sure all my burners are off. I have 2 more pieces of the artesian bread that we can have with our soup. And that'll be it, and that's our dinner. Ham and bean soup with potato pancakes and some artesian bread. So have a good evening, bon appetit. Subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies. Give us a thumbs up. You have a good evening. This is Two Family Homestead.